guys, so by this time you've watched my first video, and if you haven't, I will highly suggest that you do watch it first. Um, so as you can see, I filmed it in 2018, and I talked about my fear to put myself, my discomfort, uh, or rather my dislike for sitting in front of my camera and filming myself. So I just realized that I actually overcame that challenge. I sat in front of my camera and I filmed myself. The quality, in my opinion, is terrible. The information is all over the places. It is definitely work in progress. So I'm open to any suggestions, any ideas, any articles that I can read to improve or get better, but definitely nothing fancy for the time being. And so, what I want to do is start by breaking things down. Like, I'm going to be breaking things down each time I make a video, maybe have like a specific topic, or if anyone has any suggestion of something they want me to talk about, I'm open to it. I do want to preface with my intent because it's really important, right? As you know, my intent is to teach others how to fall madly in love with themselves. But even before that, I have that little quote that I mentioned in the first video. So I'm going to use that each time I make a video moving forward at the beginning. So, as you know, my purpose is to teach others to fall madly in love with themselves. Now I'm gonna shine so bright that the diamond is gonna look at me and say, "Girl, how do you shine like that?" Um, so it is kind of a joke, but not really, right? Like the way it's written, right? The information remains the same. So today I wanted to talk about self worth. Like self worth, self value, which all falls into falling in love with yourself, loving yourself, because the whole idea behind this is that once you've learned to love yourself, um, it will be a lot easier not only to love others unconditionally, but to show and teach people how to love you, right? Because you decide how you want to be treated. You tell the world how you want to be treated, how you deserve to be treated. You set those standards, and you do that by knowing your value, by knowing who you are, by knowing what you're worth, right? Because if you don't know who you are, someone else is going to tell you who you are, and you're going to go through life wondering why you never meet those so-called standards. But who established those standards, right? I think it comes down to who are you. And one thing that I've done in the past is that I write an I am poem. Initially it was an exercise I did in one of my Spanish classes. I've never written a poem in Spanish before, and I wrote it and I loved it. And so I took that idea and I started writing, who am I, right? I've shared it with some friends. Just write it out, like, who am I? And you write it out and then you read it, right? Because there's no one there to judge you, to tell you, no, that's not who you are, right? Like, you decide that for yourself. So usually I like to update that poem every 5 years. So it's coming up that I need to update the one that I have of myself, because I've changed, right? Like, I'm a completely different person. The person that I was 5 years from now, my gosh, even the person that I was only about when I filmed the last video, or the first video, the only video, right? I'm not even the same person, but my essence is the same, but just the way there's been some changes, there's been some growth, thankfully. Trying to stay on topic. So, speaking of, like I said, self love, self worth, if you don't know who you are, and if you don't determine who you are, someone is going to tell you who you are, someone is going to tell you how you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be. Someone is going to put you in a box, right? And they're going to force you to fit in within that box, and you're going to be constantly unhappy because you have not determined that for yourself. So one of the exercise that I did in valuing myself, beside that poem that I wrote, the I am poem, was just practicing little giving myself compliment. Like I would write a little sticky note and put it on my car or on my desk at work. Like, you are beautiful, you can do this, you're the best. But I really, really did believe in the, you know, you are beautiful, and then it changed to I am beautiful. Then I put it in my mirror and I saw it every day, right? Now I understand that beauty is determined, mm, or beauty is whatever you want it to be. You can't think, oh, I'm only 5'1", I'm not tall enough, or I'm not skinny enough, or my breasts are not big enough, my backside is not big enough. Like, who is deciding this? You need to start by being happy with who you are, right? Like, knowing your worth, determining who you are, right? And knowing your worth, and not letting other people tell you who you are, because as they say, no one can make you feel inferior if you don't give them that permission, right? Like, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to you, right? Like, if you don't believe in yourself, it's easy for someone to come and say something, and that becomes your new reality. You need to create your reality. You need to create your world. You need to create your life and design your life, every corner of it. I'm sure I've mentioned this because it sounds so familiar to me in that other video. So I hope this makes sense. I'm I'm realizing that um, there's not enough meat going with what I'm saying. This is definitely outside of my comfort zone. The other video, I don't know. Like, it was just on the spot. I do very well during those situations. So this one, it's like more or less plain. So it's not. I don't feel it really flowing like that. I'm not really feeling this. So I don't actually know if I'm gonna go ahead and post this. Um, Speaking of self worth, I think self worth also streams down from self love. I don't think there's a perfect definition for what self love is, but it's really having that conversation with yourself and loving you and making sure you're okay, right? That's making time for yourself to either work out, or, and workout is anything you want it to be, right? It can be yoga, it can be running outside, it can be doing some push up or crunches in the house, it can be dancing, right? Whatever works for you, but making time to show yourself love, making time for yourself. You know, like, I meet people, or like, people are sometimes so busy. They're so busy they don't even have time for themselves. They have time for everyone else, right? Oh, I have to run and do this for the kids. I have to do this for the kids. I have to do that. I have to do that for the husband. Do this for the cousin. But like, when do you make time for yourself? Um, this was very difficult for me because I used to think that my sole purpose was, first of all, we're gonna get to this eventually. I had to learn this whole concept of love, which was never shown to me growing up, or at least it was. If it was shown to me, I completely missed it. Right? Like, I was constantly being told everything that I wasn't. So the concept of love, I had to learn it, what it means, and then I had to learn it, what it means for myself, because for the longest time I thought my sole purpose was to love others, to show them love, and it was okay if it wasn't returned to me. Imagine not loving yourself. That is so sad, right? Like, not loving you, not accepting you, because at the end of the day, let me tell you one thing. Everyone has their own bag. If you don't have your own bag, who's gonna have your bag? Like, if you don't love you, who's gonna love you? You can't sit around and be like, oh, no one loves me. Like, no one loves you. Like, you don't even love you, right? Like, if no one loves you, if it really is true that no one loves you, no one cares about you, make sure there's at least one person, and make sure that person is you. If that one person is you, if you're the only person who believes in you, that's okay. That's okay, because it starts with you. And it definitely starts with being honest with yourself, right? Like, you may be lying to the world for whatever reason. You may be insecure, you may be uncomfortable, you may be working through some things, but don't lie to yourself, right? Like, still have those open and honest conversation with yourself when the windows are closed and the doors are locked and there's no one around and it's just you. Have those conversations with yourself, like, who am I? Why am I doing this? What are my intent? Right? We're coming back to this intent. What are my intent? Because when you're really clear with your intent, actions will follow. Not only will action follow, it will cement your words. Like, people will not misunderstand you as much when you state a clear intent and you think about it, like, what is my intent? And then you think about, how am I going to deliver my message in a way that my intent is clear, and then you proceed, right? And if people don't understand you, make sure you re-explain it, but make sure you state your intent, whether you state it clearly and verbally to other people, you state it within yourself before you speak, so that you know that it's coming from your heart, it's coming from your goals, it's coming from your purpose, it's coming from your intent. So this is gonna be a shorter video because, like I said, I'm trying this thing of doing one topic. So again, self worth streams from self love, which is really self acceptance, right? Knowing who you are. So first, determining who you are. Writing. I think it's important to write things down because you can go back and read it, right? And it may change. It's okay. But it gives you a point of reference, right? So determining who you are, writing down who you are, knowing who you are, right? And telling people how you want to be treated. So treating yourself with respect and showing the world how you want to be treated. And if someone treats you in a way that you don't want to be treated, let them know. One thing that I think it's important is let them know with love, right? Coming back to the whole intent thing, make sure when you communicate it's because you want to show love, you want to be a good human, like, hey, I'm communicating this with you, I'm communicating this to you, so we can have we can figure out what's the common ground, so we can come together and coexist, right? Like we're sharing the same air. It's important to let people know something that you're not. To let people know if they're not treating you the way you want to be treated, right? If they're not respecting you the way you respect yourself, I think it's important to do it with love, right? So, my suggestion, excuse me, would be to not do it when your emotions are high. One thing that I heard that stayed with me and that I reference to very often is when emotions are high, intelligence is low, right? So try to calm down and process information before you act, right? Again, try to calm down and process the situation and look at every angle if you can before you act. I didn't say before you react, before you act, because if someone does something and you just do something back, that's a reaction, right? What I'm looking for, what I want you to do, or what I think we should be doing is taking action. So you think, you make sure that your emotions are not all over the places, so you process things, right? You think with your heart, with your mind, really just lay it down and then proceed. So think before you act. And the goal was to summarize this whole self love. So let's do this again, right? So determine who you are, right? Know who you are, write it down, tell people how you want to be treated, show the world how you want to be treated, and stand by what you believe, right? Like, don't just believe one thing and then the next day believe, so okay, it's okay to change your mind, of course, but I'm saying, like, be consistent. With who you say you are, because at the end of the day you don't want to confuse people. One day you don't want to say you're one thing and the next day you're the other one. I think it's okay to change your position, but I think again it's okay, it's important to restate your intent, like, hey, this is how I thought 2 years ago and now I think this way. It's okay to change your mind. Sometimes people make it seem like, oh, you change your mind, like, what is this, prison? Like, I can't change my mind, my ideas won't change. Just be clear about it and just be honest and humble when you've made a mistake, when your intent were misguided. I think it's okay. Because again, like I said before, if you don't know who you are, someone is going to tell you who you are. So love yourself, show yourself love, respect yourself, know your value, really important. So that's it for me today. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, you can inbox me. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're probably a close friend or family. So you can send a message. You can tell me what you think I can improve upon. But we're all in this together. Thank you so much and have a night. Bye.